It is 1956 in France. Some miners are working in a mine which is 1500 below the ground. One of the miners tears down a wall using his pickaxe. He calls in a little boy and asks him to bring the penitent immediately. The penitent arrives and asks all the miners to back off, as he is going to blow up the gas. The penitent gets inside the cave, holding a lantern in his hand. After going deep inside the cave, the penitent finds a creepy bony hand, and seeing which he runs back, and the scene cuts here. Now we see a young Arab man named Amir in a jeep. Amir is a poor guy and ready to do everything to make both ends meet. Hence he and his friend are going to meet a man who picks and sends people to work in mines. The recruiter tells each of the applicants that the selected applicants will have a job and accommodation and will get 44 francs per day. The mining is tough work, and you will have an 18-month renewable contract. After that, the recruiter asks pretenders to open their shirts and tells them that the pretenders stamped with red seal will stay here while the greens get in the truck. The recruiter comes to Amir's friend and tells him that he is a robust guy, but at the same time, Amir's friend begins to cough, causing the recruiter to mark him with a red seal, as no sick person is allowed to work in mines. The recruiter comes to Amir and marks him with a red seal too. Amir requests him to understand that he needs that job very much. Therefore, desperate Amir marks his chest with a green seal himself, impressing the recruiter by his courage. Professor Berthier arrives at a mine called Devil's Island to meet Mr. Fouassier, owner of this Devil's Island mine. Professor Berthier has been sent here by a company for which he works to execute some kind of experiment, 1,000 meters below the ground, but Fouassier is not ready to do it. So Professor Berthier greases his palm with a thick wad of money which he keeps in his pocket. Then Fouassier asks Berthier to come back after a week. Down there, a miner comes out of the mine with a severely injured leg, as a big rock fell on his leg. He may have died, but Roland saved him in time. Professor Berthier tells Fouassier that he will go down in the mine with this very man. Amir has been admitted to the mine, and here he comes across some other miners like him, such as Polo and Santini. Santini becomes helpful to Amir and explains some rules of the mine to him. Next day, Amir is ready to go down in the mine with other miners, led by Roland. Other miners often make racist comments at him. Amir meets Roland for the first time and calls him Sir, but Roland asks him to call him by his name. He introduces Amir to other members of his team, consisting of Louis, Polo, Miguel, and Santini, whom Amir had already met. Amir, along with Santini, Polo, Miguel, and Louis, reaches down the mine while Roland leads them. It is deep dark inside the tunnel, which makes it difficult for the miners to see clearly. Amir is ordered to search Polo, as he is nowhere to be seen around. Shortly, Amir finds him with a white horse in this pitch-black dark and gets startled by the presence of the horse at this place. Polo asks him not to be afraid of the horse, as it is blind. Next day, Professor Berthier arrives there, and Roland tells his team, introducing Berthier, that he is coming down with them today. Afterwards, Roland promises his team a bonus of 400 francs. Tempted by this, everyone agrees with Roland and heads out to the mine. Professor Berthier tells Roland that they have to blow up a certain area within the mine. Afterwards, Roland and his team leave for the mine in a lift. Soon, they reach the mine named Mathilde. Roland informs Miguel about the need of 10 kilos of dynamite to blow up the floor of Mathilde. Berthier spots the specific area in the mine to be blown up, so the place is blown up, using dynamite causing a pit to be created. They all peer into the hole and discuss who will descend. Roland inquires of the professor what he is searching for. The professor does not give a straight answer to Roland, causing him to send Berthier first into the hole. Afterwards, one by one, everyone descends the hole. Roland tells an ancient legend of the damned St. Louis. He says it is said that, around a century ago, an old mine around here caught fire. They could not extinguish the fire. 30 or so miners were trapped. The surprising thing is that the dead bodies were never found, not even a single one. Shortly, Professor Berthier gets lost somewhere in the mine. So Roland and his team begin to look for him. And while searching for him, they find some pickaxe marks on the walls, proving that prior to Roland and his team, some other miners had also been there but never returned. Miguel states that the souls of those damned miners are still here for sure. After this, they continue their search for the professor. In a while, they arrive at a bifurcated passage, so they split up into two groups, consisting of 2 members each. Roland takes Miguel with him and sends Luis with Santini. He lets Amir choose which group to join, so Amir chooses to go with Santini. After this, they head out in search of Professor Berthier. While looking for the professor, Santini, Louis, and Amir find the skeleton of a St. Louis miner. Miguel discovers a stone near the skeleton. Santini orders him to put it back to its place or they will be cursed. Amir finds a warning note written by St. Louis on the wall. He reads it out to everyone present. It came for each one of us like a shadow hidden in the deep dark. It is sleeping at this time, yet I can still hear it. It will return undoubtedly, as we are cursed. Next, Professor Berthier takes pictures of the inscriptions engraved on the wall. Soon, he is found out by Roland from behind. Roland gets furious with him for his sudden disappearance. Berthier apologizes to him and gives him his word that he would not do so again. Just then, Amir inquires of him about the engraved inscriptions. Then, the professor says, "That's why we came here. Behind this wall, there is something I have been seeking for years." Roland asks him what is beyond this wall. On this, he responds, "Something very priceless." Therefore, Roland immediately ordered the wall to be blown up. They enter the portal and find the entire place covered in inscriptions, engraved on each pillar, pointing towards a connection to a primitive civilization. Professor Berthier takes a sample of these cryptic writings. Amir asks him how old are these, to which he responds, "It is older than centuries." Louis finds a passage there and calls the professor there to have a look. They find the room filled with broken and crushed skeletons. The professor tells Roland and his team that these were the guards of this place. It seems like they had been fighting to protect something, but could not overcome the enemy. Nearby, they stumble upon a coffin there and conclude that those guards died while safeguarding it. Amir asks him what it is. Then the professor responds, "That is a sort of god according to legend." Roland comes there and says to the professor, "If you are done with your research, we can get out of here." Something wrong happens with the white horse, causing it to flee. Right then, all of a sudden, the roof of the mine collapses, injuring Santini in his leg, and due to the collapse of the roof, the way out is blocked. Roland says, "There must be a way to get out." Now, Roland and his team are trapped like other miners, who once came here and died due to some unnatural reasons. Roland orders Paulo and Luis to take Amir with them to find a crack in the walls that they can blow up to get back up in the mine. Amir finds a portal while searching for a crack anywhere in the wall. He enters the portal and finds Luis and Paulo trying to open the ancient sarcophagus. Amir warns them not to do so, but Luis and Paulo are tempted by the precious things placed inside the sarcophagus. They try to open the lid of the coffin with all their might but can't. Amir discovers a lock on the coffin, meaning it needs a key to be unlocked. He finds stone in Luis's bag, which turns out to be the key to the coffin. Using the stone, he unlocks the coffin and gets praised by Luis for ironing out his problem. Together, they remove the lid from the sarcophagus and discover a mummy-like body with some precious gems scattered all around. Greedy Luis and Paulo begin stealing the gems while Amir stands clear of the coffin. He rushes to let others know about it but is intercepted by the covetous Louis, who says to him threateningly, "If you say a word about it, you would be no more." But Amir manages to free himself and flees. Paulo reproves Luis for pissing on the skeletons of miners. After that, both begin to pack all the stolen gems into their bags. Right then, the mummy-like creature wakes up in the background. Both Luis and Paulo look back simultaneously and get into a flap. They run out of the crypt in fear and return to Roland. Luis informs Roland that there is something alive in the crypt and that spooky thing attacked them. Following Luis and Paulo, the evil entity comes behind Paulo and takes him away dragging. Roland and other miners follow a trail of Paulo's blood and find his beheaded body hanging upside down. Roland orders Berthier to tell him everything about that creature, to which he responds, "That creature is from an ancient civilization which lived here for centuries. They worshipped that sarcophagus, which is even older. They believed the creature to be a god sent down from heaven. They carried out innumerable sacrifices in this place to keep the god quiet." On the other hand, wounded Santini is all alone. He hears someone screaming, causing him to light his flashlight. He finds a bony creature pouncing upon him. Shortly, Roland, Amir, Berthier, and Miguel arrive there and see Santini in creature's arms. The devil entity kills Santini right before Roland and other miners and then leaves. Roland and his team make a plan to trap and kill the creatures before it kills them. Professor Berthier suggests to Roland that they must go back to the crypt and translate the inscriptions to find a way out. Following the suggestion of the professor, they all get back to the crypt again. Berthier and Amir begin to decipher the inscriptions. A couple of steps ahead, they find prison cells full of broken skulls and crushed skeletons. Professor tells Roland and other that the people of this civilization would call their god Moknoroth, the Eater of Souls. Following the stains of blood, Roland and Berthier enter a dungeon where they see that the white horse has been brutally butchered by the Eater of Souls. Berthier locks the door to prevent the entry of Roland and others into this crypt. Amir asks why he has done that. On this, he responds, "What will happen if I find the way out? I would not be needed, and they will kill me. So, help me find the solution to our problem." On the other side of the stony door, Roland, Louis, and Miguel make an effort to slide the stony door to get in. In the crypt, Berthier reads out an inscription, stating that only those rejected by death deserve to feed Moknoroth. Through an inscription, Professor learns that Moknoroth has one master, and that master is no other than the final sacrifice, and the master of that Eater of Souls will become an immortal god. Right below the drawing of Moknoroth, Amir finds a palindrome. It reads the same in both directions. He explains to Berthier that there is an inscription and it is on the circular door at the entrance. We can call it entrance or exit. It totally depends on our point of view. Meaning, the entrance is the exit itself. The professor happily tells Amir that they are going to get out of this mine. The dead horse begins to breathe, catching Amir and Berthier's attention. Berthier asks Amir to back off and not move at all because something is coming out of the horse's stomach. After bursting the horse's stomach, Moknoroth appears before them. Berthier pushes Amir back and begins to hail the Eater of Souls himself. Moknoroth embraces the professor, who is very elated after meeting the god, but soon his ecstasy turns into a nightmare when Moknoroth begins to eat his soul. Terrified Amir sits near the circular stony door, but he is pulled out by Roland, Miguel, and Louis in time. Amir spills the beans about Louis to Roland and asks him to look into his bag. Roland snatches Louis's bag and finds a pouch full of gems stolen from the sarcophagus. He gets furious with Louis and tells him that those gems will be handed to Polo's and Santini's family. The Eater of Souls single-handedly is seen opening the door. Roland and the rest of the miners search for a way out, but they see something passing by them in a flesh. Therefore, they turn off their lights, but the scared Louis turns on his lamp, catching Moknoroth's attention. The Eater of Souls slices Miguel's throat, killing him. Louis tries to get away, but he is also dragged into the darkness by the evil. Now only Roland and Amir are left alive. Here, he reveals to Roland that it is he who opened the sarcophagus at the behest of Louis and Polo. It is all his fault, but kind Roland says, "It doesn't make much difference now, as both of us are in hot water." Roland hits upon an idea to get out of the mine through the sacrifice pit. Soon, Amir is also dragged inside the crypt by the Eater of Souls. Following the cryptic symbols, Roland eventually finds the sacrifice pit through which he can get out of this mine. In the crypt, Amir passes through several foggy chambers and finally reaches a large hall where he sees skeletons burning in a fiery pit. Just in time, Moknoroth, the Eater of Souls, shows up there sitting on his throne. Amir finds the evil god holding Louis's head in his bony hand. Amir asks the evil god what he actually wants. Moknoroth says something, but Amir can't understand. Moknoroth beheads Louis right before Amir, killing him. The evil god approaches Amir with the decapitated head of Louis and makes it say his words. Addressing Amir as his master, the evil god requests him through Louis' head to let him out. Moknoroth calls Amir his master because it is he who had opened the sarcophagus. The monster god repeatedly requests him to set him free by giving him his life. "Give me your soul, and you will become a god." Amir falls in with Moknoroth and embraces him, saying, "You will never live here now," and saying this, he stabs Moknoroth and runs away. He comes straight to the sacrifice pit. He ascends the pit and finds Roland up there. Little by little, both begin to get out of the pit, but meanwhile, Moknoroth also arrives in the pit crawling. Roland and Amir see him coming up, so they detonate the entire pit using dynamite to get rid of the lurking god, killing him. And with this scene, this movie comes to an end.